How access to knowledge will change the world, and is already changing the world. Actually, it's pretty easy. In the past, knowledge was stored either in humans, which were, let's face it, not very... in terms of longevity, humans pretty much score at almost zero when it comes to 0% when it comes to overall time, which is probably something like 50 billion years for the Earth. So, well, humans score pretty low. And we also have something like USBs, which score even lower than humans. But the thing I wanted to state is this. We can also store things outside of humans. If we store things outside of humans, like in books, for example, that's already a pretty big advancement to still storing the information just in humans. But what we now did is we not only stored it outside of humans, but we also made it accessible to every single human on this earth. I mean, at least in the future, when we have connected all countries to the internet, which is something that's not really there right now, and also not everybody has a phone that can access the internet, and also phones pretty much are done after 2 years, which is kind of confusing, because why would they? Your stove, for example, also is not done after 2 years. It still works after 2 years, and the water bottle you bought, unless you drop it, is probably also working after 2 years, but your phone after 2 years is total crap. Which is the same like the knowledge humans used to transfer in the beginning, which was why we now have pretty much the biggest advancement in human knowledge and also technology and also just general progress there ever was. There ever was. And what was the title of the video again? I don't know. Access to knowledge. How access to knowledge will actually, be a pretty big deal, I guess. Just like Ashley Graham. Pretty big deal. That's actually the name of her podcast. Now, the thing is, even now humans have access to this knowledge, that's a completely different level. Now, let's say in the past, there's a tribe and there is this one old dude who was the one old dude. Why? Because the 99 old other dudes just died. Therefore, there was only one old dude. That's already pretty selectary, or a pretty big selection bias when it comes to knowledge. But let's say there was this one old dude. You could ask for example, dating advice, which this old dude probably is not very good at, because it was like 75 years ago when he lived for 100 years, which was not really something that happened in the past, but I'm still using the example. Now, let's just say the advice you got was probably pretty bad. Now, compare it to today. You can go online and just go on Reddit, and the advice you will get is probably even worse, because it's anonymous, and therefore that's not the conclusion of this video. It's just a fun example I wanted to contribute to this discussion. Of course, in the future, everybody will have access to the internet. At least that's an ideal scenario, a utopian scenario. Utopian things are things that are very nice, and also in the future, that's called a utopia. I don't even know the English word for it. In Latin, it's called utopia. Utopia, that's the Latin word for it. I guess it's Latin. So how will access to knowledge change? The thing is, every 10-year-old with a phone these days can read Wikipedia and also watch videos like this. This means you can get pretty smart. And you don't have to be in any country. And you don't have to go to the library and research for 10 hours. And you also don't have to drive to the library, because you can access it anywhere and everywhere and all the time, which basically democratizes knowledge all around the world. And during COVID-19, also a lot of folks noticed that pretty much what universities offer is nothing else than the content that's maybe already available on the free web and just packaged and then just sold for, in the US, for example, for 20,000 a bachelor, which is pretty expensive if you think about it, because in the internet, it's either cheaper because it's scalable, and it's also not a university, or it's completely free because more and more people realize that the actual thing that counts is not so much the money, but much more the scale. Of course, it's also the money, but you have to scale things more and more and more and more. Therefore, knowledge, also because people are nice, this is also why things like open source projects exist, but general because people are just nice and want to help other people. And also, yeah, therefore knowledge in the future will be much more accessible as it is now. I mean, this is huge. Just think about it. This is huge.